What do you get when you throw two natural born intuitive mediums together with a passion for animals and empowerment?
Spirits, angels, and guides. Oh my. I'm empowerment medium Tara Diana.
And I am intuitive medium Nancy Brady. Together, we focus on the good,
The bad,
and the ugly of working with the spirit realm.
but mostly we're focusing on the good.
Hey everyone, hello Tara.
Nancy,
How are you, my dear?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We are talking today about one of my favorite topics, which is spirit guides and how to work with them.
Nice. Nice. Spirit teams.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, I'm going to start out with asking you, because I know when I'm doing work with people, one of the first things they ask me is, what's my spirit guide's name?
Talk about not being able to trust themselves. Yeah, so what's your response?
Whatever you want it to be.
My response is,
But let me finish. The other part is I want you to tune into your guides, and if you really need to give them a name, ask them what their name is. But more often than not, my guides they don't need a name.
that's interesting. I think that for a lot of people, the name is very, very important. No, is it necessary? No, of course not. And is it going to be their real name? Likely not, right? Likely not. It's going to be something that will be familiar enough with you psychologically that you're going to remember it.
Yes.
So when people, that is, oh, tell me what the spirit guy's name is. And I'm like, usually that comes, though, from someone who is not actually metaphysically, spiritually developing. They just kind of like the idea of it. Maybe they've got they're dabbling, like one toe in the water kind of thing. And usually I look at them and I say, what? I can't tell you that. I can't tell you what your spirit guide's name is. And you can go down that whole thing of, well, psychically, you should be able to tap in. If you're talking to my guide should tell you. And I'm sure if I sat down and said to your guide, okay, what's your name? Pete, your guide's name is Pete. And you're like, that's right. But here's the thing. It's not my job. What it is part of your development to be able to trust what you receive from spirit, specifically those working to heighten their intuitive self, their connection to the other side. So I always say to them, go home and before you go to bed, put the question out there. If you're looking for who is your master teacher, put it out there. If you're looking who is your protector guide, I mean, there is a lot of guides that you can work with. And when I teach them, I kind of gloss over some and pay more attention to others that I feel are more prominent in the work that you do, depending on what work you are doing. But I say, just ask. And in the morning when you wake up, the first name that comes to you is its name. Now, here's how you know if someone really is trusting the process or not, is that if they get the name Bev or Doug or my main spirit guide, who does more things than just one aspect, is named Tony. Now, people have White Wolf, people have, these names and whatever, and that's super cool. But there's nothing wrong with having the name Fred.
Yeah.
Right? It's something that's going to stick with you for whatever reason. So now you've got a connection. Okay, who are you working with? Well, my spirit teacher is Fred. Okay, amazing. Now what?
Yes.
Now what? Get to know him.
Exactly. My mediumship guide's name is Paul.
See?
Yeah, very simple, Paul. It's but I do have my master guide is it's an indigenous name I can't pronounce. So I just call him Raven Song because Raven is one of my power animals and I just merged it and I made it up and I like the name. He responded.
And again, that's it. That's yours. And it's funny because my master teacher is actually an ascended master, Kuan Yin. So that's who my master teacher is. That is who I channel through trance. That is who I channel automatic writing, who gives my messages I put out in the groups and stuff. And again, I just know it's her. I feel it and I trust it. But there are many, many guides.
Oh.
And so, and one of my favorite stories is there is no such thing as a parking guide or a parking angel. You can fight me on this until you're blue in the face, but I've never seen people who love the idea that a parking angel is the one that gets them their parking spot. And I always say, Nancy, to them, I said, oh, stop. I'm like, how about celebrating that you're a great manifester?
I sometimes call that joy guides. Like, I'll call on my joy guides to help me manifest joy. And if it is in the form of a close parking spot, so be it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But I honestly feel like there are specific guys that we work with. And again, yeah, if anyone is watching this or listening to this or partaking in whatever way your clair sense lets you partake, maybe you're feeling this. I do have an actual document that I teach about spirit guides. So, and it goes through the different spirit guides that we can bring, like the alchemist and the protector and the message bearer for mediums and the healing, the doctor. It does have a list of them. Do you have to make a connection with every one of them? Thoughts?
No, I don't think you do. And I really believe that they come in when we need them most, right? Like, even when I'm doing readings for people and guides are coming in, and let's say they're working on something medically is happening with them. Of course, their doctor guide is coming in, but then I find also you can call, just like you work with your ascended master, they can call doctors that may have lived before them to come in and also help. So you can actually call on ancestors. You can call on other people who maybe aren't your, I don't want to say assigned guides, but your steady eddies that are always around you helping out.
Yep.
You can absolutely call on all those people for sure. What do you think?
Well, I think that we go through stages. I think, my chemist made an appearance. I understood what the chemist was, and I no longer called upon the chemist. The chemist just did the work without me being consciously aware of it. Do you know what I'm saying? What really happened for me was that I learned who all these beings were in my space. I thanked them, gave them gratitude, and for whatever reason, most of them, with the exception of the healer and the the gatekeeper and the master teacher, all kind of amalgamated into Tony's energy. And now Tony represents almost everything. My gatekeeper is amazing. What's a gatekeeper, you may ask? I'll tell you. A gatekeeper is the spiritual entity who kind of allows spirits in and spirits out of your space. And knowing who your gatekeeper is actually really, really, I was going to say profitable. It's not profitable. Well, I guess it could be, but it's really helpful because it allows you to feel as though there is some control in who's coming through in spirit, especially if you're doing mediumship. If you're doing intuitive work, a little bit, but if you are doing more medium-based where you're calling in loved ones from the other side, et cetera, having a gatekeeper there and sorting through it is almost like you're having an assistant, right? Who's like, okay, not you today. You got bad attitude. You don't get to come in. But you come through, right? They're waiting for you. So I love the gatekeeper. And the healer is lovely. My healer went from an Indigenous woman who never had a name as far as I can recollect. I never called her anything. She just came. She was elder. She was wonderful, medicine woman. She did the work and we worked together beautifully. And then one day, all of a sudden, this Black Panther was laying at my feet.
Cool.
So it is really about the energy. It is really about what you need in this moment. So what does an Indigenous elder woman represent when doing healing work? Well, she represents wisdom. She represents knowledge. Oh, she's a medicine woman. Oh, she does do healing work. So that's what it represents when you're doing the work. Black Panther. Why Black Panther for healing? Well, black is protection, right? So making sure that my space, that if I'm not taking in people's stuff, I'm sending it out. Powerful. These are all things. Well, what would that have to do with healing? Well, you want to be in and out, right? You don't want to sit in other people's discomfort, disease.
I like the idea too of getting to know the various guides so that you can identify when you're doing the work and you're doing the development work, you can identify who's coming and going, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that, yep, I know that that's my panther coming in, or yes, I know that's my, alchemist coming in. Whatever it is that you're working with, you can identify. And I do like having different names just so that you can, I find the name energy helps connect the actual energy more. You know what I'm saying? So she's given thumbs up for anyone listening. That it is one of those things so that when I say Paul, right away, he's here.
That's it. That's it.
So my soul energy is talking to his soul energy, and he knows it's game time, right?
But even at a humanist level, I mean, we're so much better. We work so much more effortlessly when we are like, hey, Mike, are you listening? Oh, okay, cool. Hey, Tony, you there? Oh, okay, cool. Right? Our humanists can accept that.
Yes.
Right? Can accept that. Okay, no, I am connected. And also with spirit guides, there's an inner and outer circle. So the inner circles are the one that you're going to work with so closely, like we talked about. The outer circle will be the ones like now I work super closely with my master teacher, but not everyone does right off the bat. You have to be a certain level of a high frequency vibration, and no shout out to me or anything. I'm just saying I've done this work for 22 plus years. And my God, if I'm not up there at this point, well, help us all. But so yes, now my master teacher is part of my inner circle, right? My intimate kind of circle, as Tony is, as the healer is. But it takes time to work through them. The other thing is that you just excuse me.
Tara and I are having incredible coughing. These allergy season for us in BC. Everything is blooming. We are coughing through this whole podcast.
My sincere stories. Hopefully, Vanessa will maybe take that out. So becoming comfortable in who your guides are allows you to also, as you become comfortable in the work you're doing in whatever capacity that is, whether that's self-work, self-intuitive work, recognition, or if that is higher vibrational work, which is working for other people, being of service to other people, you become closer to it. It just becomes an unconscious, subconscious kind of work. So we talk about rituals in other podcasts, Nancy, and, people that need to go into a space. And I don't need any of that. I just want to do the work and then have a nap. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to do the work. And so I feel like if you get comfortable with your guides, you don't have to call them in every day. You don't have to. You can literally be like talking and I'm being like, oh, Tony, thank you. And you'll see me do that. Thank you. I do a lot of this and people think there's someone at my back door. You know what I mean? But really what I'm saying is you're talking too much. I can't understand what the human's saying. Can you just wait a sec? You just become comfortable and know who you're working with, like you said. But your humanist really does like having the name connection. And I think it's powerful, specifically at the beginning of any journey, for you to know who the name is and you to find out yourself. Don't ask us.
Mm-hmm. And, and I am going to backtrack a bit here because I know Tara and I have had this little sort of debate a bit back and forth on some of the previous episodes. Tara has been doing this work for 22 years. Myself, I feel nothing wrong with ritual, for especially those of us who are starting out there. We're learning the work. We're just starting to do it. The ritual is almost like, I'm going to say, a safety blanket because it allows you to take that human part of you, get into the spiritual part, and it's okay. I'm also at the same point where Tara is, where I don't need to do all the opening meditations and the rituals anymore. But I just want to put that out there that there's nothing wrong with it if you guys do that, if you need that. And sometimes, and I know I've listened to even people who are still super famous mediums that have been doing this work and they love the ritual. It's all whatever works for you guys. It's whatever floats your boat. But I think energetically, there's a consistency with what we're saying. Get to know your guides, right? Get to know your guides.
You know what? I've never said that there was anything wrong with ritual. I've never put that out there. It's just not my jam anymore.
Yeah.
Right? It's just not my thing. And if I go into someone's house and they want me to clear with sage, which makes me sick, but they want to clear with sage, I'll do what they need me to do to make them feel comfortable. It's not about me. But if I can just walk into a room and do the work, then I'm just going to walk into the room and do the work. Just like anyone that would, do math and get a calculator and it's just, you just do it, it's done and it goes ahead. But I do know that people like to sit in their power and sit in that space. I have just made it so it works with my personality. And here's the gift I'm going to give you guys. So just take a listen here. The gift is you are unique. Do what you need to do, baby. Find out how it resonates with you and you go with that flow. If you need to know who every guide is and how they work with you, and you need to call them an individual and feel them and greet them. And I have no problem with that. That's yours, right? That's yours. I'm just telling you that as I got more involved and deeper into my work and realized that I wanted to blend my personality with the work I was doing, it just automatically came to fruition. I don't remember sitting down and cutting out ritual. I don't remember sitting down and saying, I don't need you, alchemist. Take a hike, buddy. I don't remember any of that. What I do know is that at some point when I was teaching, I realized that, wait a minute, I'm going to teach this, but I don't sit there anymore. And that's the great thing about evolving and moving. And you can pick and choose what you want to keep and what you want to evolve. You know, there's lots of mediums, Nancy, that come to message nights and they'll be like, oh, I'm just going to come a half an hour early. I'm going to sit down in the meditation room for 20 minutes and get into my power. And I think that's beautiful, right? That you go do that, because I'm the one that's going to just walk upstairs, sit on there and chat to every person that's in the room. Then we start and then we go. It's just personality. Remember, humanness actually is a huge part of your spiritual, I was going to say journey, personality. Your humanist personality is a huge part of your spiritual personality. So just be authentic. If you want to ritual up, ritual up. If you don't need it, don't do it. Doesn't make you any less of a spiritualist.
No, it certainly doesn't.
Or metaphysical work, or maybe it's a better way to say it.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't. And I do know Tara and I like to do things fast. So, I certainly enjoyed like having that instant connection and having myself move away from a bit of ritual. But you're absolutely right, Tara. Whatever works for you, whatever floats your boat, great. Take what you can and leave the rest. But
exactly. And that's why we have all these different summits and workshops and courses, and we have different teachers in our lives, and we go to things, and some will resonate and some will just be like, whoo, 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 whoo. We have to have a conversation later. Right? I mean, yeah.
So if you could give the listeners any sort of, let's do sort of a beginner, intermediate, advanced tip on working with your spirit guides. So I'll start with beginner. I would say one of the best beginner tips to connect with your spirit guides is to get a journal and meditate. It's probably one of my big favoriteest things is just sit in, and you don't have to sit like you're on top of a mountain chanting Om. If you're kinetic like Tara and I, you need to be moving, go for a walk with your dogs, whatever it is that gets you into that space of just really kind of zoning out, and then journal, set the intention that you want to meet them, do the meditation, and then journal about it. I think that's probably the most basic beginner tip I could come up with.
That's an excellent tip. That journaling is one of those things that people love or hate. But if you are going to invest in yourself, if you are going to raise your vibration and your frequency, you journal for two reasons. One, it allows you to focus. Okay? And two, you want to go and look back. Trust me. You want to go and look back and see how you have progressed in your work. So yes, for real.
Awesome. Yeah, my favorite part's looking back. Because when I look back at my developmental journey, I'm like, dang, like, wow, how far I've come. This is really cool. Okay, let's throw a medium tip out there.
Like an intermediate?
Intermediate tip, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to say to you, if you have any desire to work with loved ones from the other side, get to know your message bearer or / mediumistic guide. So you want to start that as soon as you're comfortable with your journaling, as soon as you are comfortable with your protector, which you should always have first and foremost, and whatnot. Move if you have any inclination that you want to do actual channeling, evidential mediumship, you want to know who your message bearer is, because that work together, mwah. There have been times that Tony has saved me on platform when I'm giving, and all of a sudden my good old gatekeeper let a floodgate open, and all of a sudden I've got all these spirits, and I'm like, and Tony will be like, this, and this, and I'll be like, this, and this, and I still look stellar, but my little brain was fried. I was like, that was just too much energy, too many people, too many wants, too many needs, and I got protected, and my guides looked after me. I will just say, Tony, and boom, it's there.
Nice.
Sometimes I don't have to say anything, and I know he saved my human ass.
I love that. I love that so much. And that's the biggest thing with this, people who are listening, trust, right? The more you know these spirit guides, the more you can trust 100% unconditionally that, you know, the minute she says, Tony, he's coming in with messages. The minute I say, Paul, I know we're like if our human staggers for a bit, or we have to just get reconnected.
Yeah.
We're always there to catch us. And that big T word, trust is
yeah, no lie detected.
All right. Any other tips maybe for a more advanced practitioner?
I want to put something out there, and then I'll give you that tip. I want to remind people that there are other ascended beings. So maybe ascended was the right word. I have actual guides from the Fae realm. So I have a beautiful, beautiful Fae named Azabel that gives me the most profound messages and takes me on the most amazing journeys. So don't always think that your guide is going to be straight from the heavens. You know, star seeds, and this might be a lot for some of you, and that's okay, boo. You will go and discover this, because now I've intrigued you, and you are going to go and see what this is all about. But some of the most powerful messages I've ever gotten was from Azabel. Some of the most life-saving kind of stuff, where you're taking me out of you know, a moment's emotional or mental or whatnot, have been from her. But at a let's say an advanced level of metaphysical spiritual work, what would I give in terms of spirit guides is that do not be disappointed in your master teacher. So do not go looking for your master teacher. Your master teacher will find you. You are not, you cannot go in there and say, Mary Magdalene is my master teacher, unless Mary Magdalene comes to you and says, I am your master teacher. You can't just pick and choose. That is not how it works. You can be certainly drawn to someone and still not have that entity being thought process be your master teacher. So I would say to you, allow it to come. It could take years, straight up years, you guys. So don't have expectation, and sure as HE double hockey sticks, do not have judgment.
I love that. It reminds me of when I first discovered my power animal, and the animal that's with me my entire life. And for those of you who know me and have been listening to Tara and I over time, you all know Raven is my sort of master power animal. And I remember when I was studying with a friend on the island who was Indigenous, and he was teaching me about totem animals and power animals. And of course, I was an arrogant teenager at the time. And he's like, well, you just have to concentrate and focus. What's around you most? What's been fascinating, da, da, da. And he's giving me all these tips and tricks. And I'm like, oh, lovely. I'm like, oh, all I've got following me is a big old black bird. And he's like a raven? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, that's amazing. I'm like, but I wanted like a panther or like a tiger or something. And he was like, oh God, Nancy, no, it doesn't work that way. You know, and I think of our listeners sitting there going, oh, but I just got Joe sitting on the mountain. Like, why didn't I get Mary Magdalene, right? Like, absolutely lean into whoever that being is, because you have that sacred contract with them. And why not? Like, absolutely trust that.
And they choose you. You don't choose them. Same with all your guides, guys. They choose you because they have something they need to give you that you need to learn, and they have it to give you. Right? That is it. And, you know, let's be completely honest. If you can believe in God, okay, just God, or whatever your religion, creator, I don't even know, whatever you believe in. If you can believe in that, if you can believe that Jesus Christ, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, all these things, there is no reason why you cannot believe that there are some higher vibrational ascended beings that want to work with you, to want to help you without their own judgment or expectation.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's probably one of the best messages to take away from this podcast is being open. I remember when I was doing some of my development work, and I won't drop any names because she wasn't an incredibly great teacher, but I remember I was doing a lot of readings for free, and just at the exchange of a testimonial, right? If you liked what I did for you, it was a great way to practice and get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of readings under my belt before I came out of my dining room. And this one girl came to me, and one of her guides came through, and it was alien. And I remember going to, because this was all very new to me, and it was like, oh my goodness. And it kind of threw me back and scared me a little bit. And I went to my mentor at the time, and I was like, oh, have you talked to people and have had the spirit guides and they've had aliens come through? Like, she goes, well, no, not really. And she says, but if you have, that's impressive. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks. But the more as I developed and grew as who I was, the more I was like, what an incredible honor that I got to meet that being, and that they came and showed me that there's so much more than just our ancestors on the other side. And it was really, it's like your Fae guide, right?
Right.
The energy was so profound. And this woman that I did a reading for, an incredible human. And I was like, this explains, like, she was such a powerful human. And I go, honored to know her when she was here, and honored to know her spirit guide. Like, very, very cool. So
honestly, who the HE double hockey sticks do we think we are that we would be the only beings?
Yeah.
Like, and this brings you down to Palladians, reptilians, are I can't even say it, Artulians, whatever, and Lemurians, and all these things. And people are like, oh, it's just all so made up. And my thing is, really, how do you know? How do you know, baby? And I don't put anything into any of that. If someone says this is what comes through, I feel it. If I can feel it, if I can sense it, then I know it. Done. Why believe in the archangels? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where we should leave this one, is literally believe.
Believe and trust. I 100%. I think that's a great place to leave it.
I do too. This was a nice conversation.
It was. It's always nice conversation with you.
Oh, it's always nice. And sometimes I forget that this isn't just a video, that this is a podcast.
And we thank everyone who is listening, and invite your friends and ask them to give us thumbs up and like us and share our podcast, because it's how we get our word out and our message. And we hope you enjoy this time with us as much as we do with you. Keep sending in those listener questions. We absolutely adore them. It's a great venue. Don't ever think that one question isn't good enough, because if you have it, guaranteed there's maybe 5 or 10 people out there listening that can also learn from that question. So I always, always, always encourage questions. Tara?
Me too. That's what we got today. You know what? Final piece of advice. Don't jump the gun. You don't need your master teacher as badly as you think you do. Because here's the thing. Your master teacher is already there watching. Already there as part of your journey. And when you are ready to receive, you'll be aware. It'll be a conscious receiving. So let the time come. You don't have to rush this.
Yeah, I love that.
Whatever this is.
Exactly. Let it unfold.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. I'm done. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a good night.
Thanks for listening, everyone. And until next time, I'm Nancy Brady.
I'm Tara Diana.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.